Welcome to Legal Nurse Podcast. I'm Pat Iyer, and this is our 9th year of producing shows for legal nurse consultants that are heard all around the world. I'm delighted that you're with us today for this session and for all of the future sessions that we have for this show. Coming up in our next LNC Success Online Conference, taking place February 27, 28, and March 1, 2025, you will have an opportunity to get support, to get knowledge, to have networking experiences, and to refresh your business. We're going to focus on a lot of foundational content to help you move forward in your business, get more clients, make more money, and avoid expensive mistakes. You can sign up for that conference at lnc.tips/February 2025 virtual. I would love to see you there. Now, let's get on to the show. I'd like to introduce Barbara, who will do the first part of what we're covering in this program. Our goal with this topic is to focus on the types of activities that will help you right now in planning 2025. And we're going to cover a range of things, from business operations to marketing to finances. Barbara is a clinical scholar at Massachusetts General Hospital. She works many weekends and sometimes days during the week as well, taking care of patients on the orthopedic unit and providing clinical instruction to students who are placed at Massachusetts General Hospital in their nursing programs. She takes them under her wing and helps them move into this role. She served the Massachusetts Board of Nursing for a total of 8 years, was it, Barbara?
Yes, 8 years.
On the board, including several years as the president of the board, making decisions on licensure of students as well as schools of nursing. And she and I have had the pleasure of co-authoring textbooks together and putting together online conferences, with our 11th conference coming up in February of 2025. So Barbara, how about if you start and take it away?
Absolutely. Well, of course, I would like to introduce Pat Iyer, and many of you know her name because she is not only a national icon, she's very well connected and is an international icon. She is a prolific author. She has written more than 70 books. She actually just had a new book released. Pat, could you just share a little bit about the new book that just came out?
The newest book was Medical Record Analysis, a guide for attorneys by expert nurses. And I'm looking to see who is here to see if any of our authors are present. We had 13 chapters that were created by people covering various aspects of looking at medical records, how the attorney can use this information to help establish a case. I see an author from a prior edition, Janice McIntosh, is with us today. Chris Mew is a current author for this chapter, and she has written a previous chapter as well in another edition that we had. Mary Beth Kirstein has been in this book and the previous book as well. And let me keep scrolling through. Delighted to see so many of you interested in this topic. And Stella Stomper is currently one of the people in my LNC Elite coaching program, and she will be given the opportunity to participate in volume number 4, which will come out next year.
And I understand that you already received 4 #1 ratings by Amazon.
We were #1 in 4 categories the day that the book came out, within a couple of hours. It's been a very good, strong bestseller.
So we are so excited, as I mentioned before, to have all of you here. And as you know, Pat Iyer, she is She has her master's in nursing and her LNCC, and she established a very successful independent legal nursing business in Flemington, New Jersey, back in 1989. And she testified as an expert witness for 25 years as a liability expert for medical surgical cases. After she grew her multi-million-dollar company, she sold that company and is now a very busy business coach for her membership programs. She provides books and courses and online training to help legal nurses just like you make more money. And she wants to help you avoid expensive mistakes in your business. She's also served as the past president of the American Association of Legal Nurse Consultants and served on its board for 5 years. We are so excited to have you here, and we want to help you build your dreams, explore your vision, and so much more. So today our topic is planning for 2025, proven strategies for LNC success. When you're growing your legal nurse business, it requires a vision that you can make into an actionable plan. It also requires a focus on establishing a strong network and a supportive community. Let's start with discussing and setting key targets. What are your objectives for going into legal nursing? Some of you may be new to the field. Others of you are very experienced. So perhaps you want to put that into the chat as to what your objective is. Are you looking to leave the clinical arena? Are you interested in working from home, or perhaps a law firm or another location? Do you want to supplement your current income? Are you looking to grow your practice? Are you looking to increase your income from the prior year? Are you looking to learn something new? Technology, specialty? There's so much that this field has to offer. And define when you want to start marketing. We're going to be talking about that, and getting cases and increasing your current business. And that's why you're all here today, because this is to jumpstart your 2025. So we have, let's see, work from home and grow my new practice, increase income. Let's see. Renia said, initiate my business and make enough income to not have to supplement. All great reasons. Somebody wants to leave the bedside and replace the income. Somebody wants to leave the hospital and looking into segueing into retirement. And we have Natalie, who's a member of our elite program, who's interested in working from home and having the flexibility that it provides, and also replacing her income from her full-time bedside to an LNC business. Others are looking to leave the bedside, supplement. Pat and I have seen a huge shift the last few years, especially because of COVID, of nurses that are looking to leave the bedside for a variety of reasons. So whatever your reasons are, you should develop a clear plan with objectives. So for example, we want you to align your goals with your desired work-life balance. So if you are currently working full-time, it can be challenging to schedule your casework, but it's not impossible. We've had many people that have attended our coaching programs as well as our conferences looking into how do I manage and develop a work-life balance when I'm working full-time? When can I perform the case reviews? And we've helped people design those new schedules, whether it's taking time on the weekends that perhaps they're working their weekend shifts and taking time during the week to do their case reviews, or perhaps they're doing longer days and having an extra time, an extra day or two off that they can perform case reviews. It is not impossible at all. And as you develop your client base and your work is increasing, you can then evaluate and determine if you can cut back some of those clinical hours, perhaps going from the 40 hours to the 36 to the 32. And eventually, there are many legal nurses that phase out of the bedside as well, because that's what their goal is, and that's what their needs are for their family. When we take a look at additional goals, we want you to define your revenue goals. As you're reviewing cases, one of your goals can be increasing the number of cases that you're reviewing. So you can do this as you are designing what your ideal goals are for 2025. I encourage you to set a goal of onboarding 5 new attorney clients within the next 6 months. And if you write out a plan, a formal plan, an action plan, then you can refer to this every month to see where are you at in the process of attaining those goals and possibly even exceeding those goals. There are many ways to do that, of gaining those 6 new attorney clients. And I know that part of it, Pat is going to discuss here today, and we will elaborate on that further. I will talk about that as well. And that includes increasing your visibility. And there are many ways to do that, and we'll talk about that in a short bit. When you're looking at setting your revenue goals, what are you hoping to do? What is your ideal goal? If you're just starting out, what are you looking to earn in 2025? Are you looking at $25,000 that you're looking to earn, $50,000, $100,000, or more? Put that in writing to yourself to have that annual revenue target. And then you want to take that target and break it down into monthly goals. For example, if you're looking at $50,000, then you're looking at a monthly goal of around $4,100. And then if you divided that out, it would be a weekly goal of approximately $1,000 to meet that $50,000 goal. If your goal is $100,000, then of course you would double it. If you're looking for $150,000, $200,000, then you would multiply that out. So be honest with yourself and write that goal down. What are you hoping to earn? And of course, a lot of effort goes into starting a business, maintaining a business, and growing a business. It's always important to, I always say to people, dream big and set your goals high, because if you set your goals high, you're going to work so hard to achieve and get close to and or exceed those goals, versus if you set your goals low. I always say that to my students as well. The next topic we're going to address is client acquisition and retention strategies. And one thing I mentioned already is setting a goal of onboarding 5 new attorney clients within the next 6 months. And once you have done that and you have completed the work with your client, ask your client for feedback. That feedback can truly be golden and make a difference on how you are going to interact and work together with your next attorney client, and or how you can improve or change the way in which you're, let's say, for example, writing a report or providing a chronology for your client. Once you obtain that feedback from your client, ask your client what other attorneys in his office could use your assistance and have other cases. And I encourage you to even ask your client for a referral. Of course, he has a great network of attorneys that he works together with. And all it takes is for you to ask for those additional referrals. I want you to think about what are your ideal case types for this coming year. What are your strengths in the field? For those of you who are new, you're venturing into this field because of a variety of reasons, whatever those are. You love teaching, or perhaps you love to review medical records. Perhaps you're a really strong writer. If you are enjoying teaching, are you looking to be on the forefront and you can testify as an expert witness and talk about the standard of care, working for both plaintiff and defense attorneys? Or perhaps you want to be a fact witness, and that is a particular type of expert that presents all of the facts. You are not allowed to have an opinion on the matter. That's why you're not the expert witness, but you are the fact witness. And certainly if you have questions about that, Pat is the true expert on the expert fact witness role. Perhaps you're interested in the criminal area. If you're somebody who loves to solve a mystery, perhaps you're interested in the criminal or the forensics area. There are so many different types of areas that legal nurses can practice in. They include personal injury. Perhaps you want to work behind the scenes. Perhaps you want to be a subcontractor and work with others. One thing with the subcontracting role is that it does pay at a little lower rate in general. But it's important for you to find out and identify what your strengths are and analyze those strengths. And at the same time that you're analyzing your strengths, identify if you have weaknesses and what those weaknesses are. Because if you're somebody that perhaps is very shy and does not want to speak, doesn't do well talking in front of a group, then perhaps the expert witness role may not be for you initially, but then as you feel more comfortable in your role as a legal nurse, you may take that path in the future. To serve as an expert nurse in the courtroom, states have different laws for whether you need to be clinical or not. So there are some states that state that you can testify as an expert if you've been out of the field from direct patient care. It may be 1 year, it may be 2 years, and other states are stating that you need to be currently clinical in the field. So each state may be a little bit different. Now, as we move forward, Pat is going to address understanding your market and talk about your target market and positioning yourself to be the go-to expert. Hello, Pat.
Thank you, Barbara. What we're going to focus on now is thinking about what kind of content you can create that will be appealing to the attorney that you are interested in reaching. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to put in the chat and tell me what type of attorney is your ideal client. The person, and I'm not talking about personality, I'm talking about type of law practice. For example, is it personal injury defense? Is it medical malpractice plaintiff? And I will pick one of these markets and we will look at what AI can tell us about the kind of attorney that you are interested in reaching. And while you're putting that in the chat, let me look for some answers. Okay, MedMal, plaintiff attorneys and defense attorneys, PI working with motor vehicle collisions, medical malpractice, All right. Let's take this market of the personal injury attorney working with motor vehicle collisions, which Mary Beth shared with us. And I'm going to share my screen. And we are going to go into ChatGPT. The two primary AI tools that I use for doing research on a market are ChatGPT, which has a free and a paid version, and Perplexity.ai, which has a free and a paid version. Perplexity, as in being perplexed, Perplexity is set up a little bit differently, and it's quite useful for looking at the materials that you need in order to be able to reach the attorneys to understand a little bit more about the concerns that they have. Copy. Let's go back into Perplexity. Now, Barbara, I'm going to look at you because I can see you on my screen. Are you able to see the ChatGPT field? All right.
Yes, I can.
The prompt that we're going to use is, I'm a legal nurse consultant who markets services to personal injury attorneys who handle motor vehicle crashes. ChatGPT is not particularly fussy about correct spelling, but I am, so I usually correct any typos that I make before I hit enter. And you'll notice that I've added an additional second sentence about what are the 5 top challenges they have with the medical issues. And before you give me the output, what additional information would you like from me in order to improve that output? Now, this last sentence is a refinement that I have started using recently. One of my colleagues recommended it. It gives you a chance to make sure that you're very clear. And let's see if ChatGPT has any questions. Aha. It does have some questions of me. The experience level, case focus, case volume. Wow. Common issues you've encountered, desired outcomes, litigation stages, regional differences. Let's take one of these. My prospects are inexperienced attorneys handling catastrophic injury cases with a large volume of cases. We could probably refine this even further. As I picked out this list, I thought about the people we are really helpful to, the people who are overwhelmed, not quite sure how to handle the medical issues, and they've got big cases. So with that information, ChatGPT is refining its answers. And it's focused on understanding complex medical terminology and records, establishing causation, evaluating long-term medical needs and costs, collaborating with experts, and identifying and addressing gaps in treatment. Perfect. Based on this prompt, let's take one of these challenges. I think this one is a good one to take. And my prompt is, please suggest 5 topics that would be of interest to attorneys handling this kind of case with this problem. And I will move that up to the beginning of the prompt. All right. Now it is thinking over what I have said. It's already in the time it took for me to move my cursor, come up with some topic suggestions on decoding medical records, essential components of medical records. You could do many, many blogs and educational pieces on just this one topic alone of decoding medical records. Top 10 medical terms focused on, remember, if you have an orthopedic background, as Barbara does and Mary Beth, we have esoteric words like spondylolisthesis that you sit there and think, of what in the world is spondylolisthesis? Very straightforward to us, not particularly clear to somebody who is not part of that world. How to read between the lines and spotting critical details in medical records. Missing information is one of the things that frustrates attorneys a great deal. They don't know that the records are incomplete. And you come along and say, this patient was in the emergency department for 12 hours and there's no records from the emergency department. It says the patient was admitted to ICU from the ED. There has to be a section of the medical record for the emergency department. The attorney may have missed that completely, and you point out what's missing. Collaborating with medical experts to simplify complex cases. Many attorneys are intimidated when it comes to talking to treating physicians or expert witnesses, and they value the legal nurse consultant who can provide them with that backup support and prime them for those conversations or have them with the treating on behalf of the attorney. And turning medical jargon into persuasive arguments. The more that attorneys understand about the medical terms in their cases, the more secure they feel. They are afraid of mispronouncing words or making questions that are not artful, that don't convey the meaning behind what they are trying to extract. So we now have this population of attorneys. And the next step of this is to say, all right, what do I want to provide in the way of content, whether that's on my blog, on my LinkedIn profile, as a YouTube video? What do I want to get out to attorneys? The concept behind all of this is you want to attract the attorney to you who says, Mary Beth Kirstein has been producing on LinkedIn these very helpful medical abbreviations and terms. She clearly understands orthopedics and trauma cases, and that's my audience. That's people who I want to serve. I want to handle those cases in my law practice, and I need a backup medical person to help me look at the damages, the pre-existing conditions, the complications that evolved out of that traumatic event. The next part of this then is to ask, let's look at some themes from a content calendar. And here is my prompt. Before we continue.
Hi, this is Janelle Lee. I just wanted to give a shout out to Pat Iyer for her conferences that she prepares expertly for all of us legal nurse consultants out there. She has helped me tremendously over the last year to get my business going, help me get a LinkedIn profile, teach me about report writing. The connections that I've made through the other legal nurse consultants in her group have been phenomenal. And it's such a network of helping each other out. I find within legal nursing, nurses want to be helpful and they want to help each other. And they support each other and support other people's success. There's not, as in big business, there's not trying to put another down so that another person can get a leg up. In legal nurse consulting, I find that everyone is so supportive, and Pat's group is exactly that way. So I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy the learning aspect of it. I have learned a tremendous amount, and she has conferences multiple times throughout the year and educational content, especially lots of books that you can study and read and better yourself in your expert area or your little behind the scenes legal nursing niche. Whatever you want to learn, it's at your fingertips.
We'll go back there. I am working with the above attorney. Since we've already stayed in this thread, we haven't moved anywhere else. ChatGPT knows we're talking about the inexperienced attorney who's handling catastrophic cases and has a large volume of cases. And let's see what it comes up with to help you in your content creation. I'm going to slow it down a little bit while it's working in the background. And these ideas can resonate with you, or you can say, well, there's something else that I'd like to focus on in that month. So for January, setting your legal goals for mastering medical records. With my help as a legal nurse consultant, I can help you achieve that. National Mentoring Month, guiding attorneys through medical complexities. It's a very interesting concept. And then we have February. Clearly, heart issues are highlighted in the month of February. Cardiac injuries. Think about hitting this chest area with the steering wheel injuries that happen in cars that don't have operational airbags. There's still a lot of cars, older cars on the road that don't have airbags that can cause those thoracic injuries. And of course, people with pre-existing cardiac disease can then have even more difficulty recuperating from trauma as a condition that impacts them. We have March and spring, the role of rehabilitation, unlocking medical insights hidden in progress notes. My favorite holiday of the year as an Irish girl is St. Patrick's Day. Don't leave your case up to luck. And traumatic brain injuries, another thing to consider for Brain Injury Awareness Month. Mary Beth, whose population we're working on in this example, wrote her chapter on the hidden psychological injuries from a brain trauma. You can see how that would be important to an attorney to consider. We have navigating medical complexity for April. And then the tax day, reducing financial risk with better medical record management. I could see how we could spin that as a legal nurse consultant to help the defense firms who are very concerned about getting slammed with big verdicts to the plaintiff attorneys who are very interested in getting those big verdicts and how you can assist them in helping to achieve their goals. Better building stronger cases through medical understanding. You can see how the AI engine behind this has taken these points and looked at how they can expand them, taking different aspects of the care of injured people and where you intersect with attorneys. Medical inequities in injury cases, big concern. We've got independence and advocacy. You can see how this ties into our national holiday of July 4th. And then we get into back to basics for busy attorneys. They've got a lot of cases piling up in the summer. They need to have those cases cleared off of their desk. We have the final quarter beginning in September. This is often themes related to education, back to school, learning, picking up new knowledge. And then Labor Day, building a stronger case together. We've got fall. Oh, that's clever. Spinal injuries, head injuries and spinal injuries. Don't be spooked by medical jargon. Physical therapy insights, giving thanks to your team. And then December, wrapping it up with confidence and planning for better case outcomes. Looks like it didn't quite finish. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, it's stalled somehow. I've never seen that message before. That's funny. Before I continue, let me ask you if, and yes, I can put that list of questions in the chat. I am using the paid version of ChatGPT, but you can get the same results from the free version because this is using the engine 4.0. The paid version, I see a question that Gail is asking. The paid version does mean that you get faster response time, and there are additional features that you can use. And it's $20 a month. But let me ask you, what did you think about this? I see Mary Beth is saying, thank you for showing the example and the sample prompts. Excellent, says Stella. Great. A life-saving tool for information, Natalie says. Great advice, pretty incredible. Also think about how fast it did that. You know, in seconds, it was pulling that information together. Now, you always, as the person, have to use your brain to say, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't quite fit my audience. How can I modify that and make changes so that you're not accepting it full-fledged? You'll notice also I didn't ask it to write an article or a post for me, but it can do that. There's a lot of controversy about whether you should use AI output without changing it or modifying it. And the coaches I work with always stress modifying it, smoothing out the wordage, making it sound like it came from you rather than a machine. We are becoming much more sophisticated now and can recognize AI output in emails, in posts. It does save a great deal of time, and I use ChatGPT frequently when I'm doing writing. I love the fact that it gives me different perspectives that I had not considered. When we talk now about having a content calendar, and I want to make sure that I let you know that because you're attending this conference, this session live, you will be receiving by email a worksheet that will take you through planning your content for 2025. That will come to you separately after this program is over. If you're listening to this as a webinar and you're not here live, you won't be getting that. When you have that content calendar, it gives you the chance to avoid the panic of looking at that white screen, which is something that all writers dread. You can work hours, days, weeks, months ahead of time when you have an inspiration. You can do the content creation when you have time using a system where you're collecting your ideas. I did a podcast yesterday with Abby Rogers, and she said, I get my best ideas when I'm walking or in the shower. And I write down my ideas for my LinkedIn posts as soon as they come to me, because they could travel off out of the brain and into some other spot in the universe, and I can't ever retrieve that back again. You can do 3 or 4 weeks of content at a time. And I know that I'm using the term content broadly. We could be talking about LinkedIn posts, we could be talking about blogs or videos, but if we just focus for the moment on LinkedIn as an example, you can schedule a post. You can schedule a post on your blog as well to appear when you're not in front of the computer. When you work ahead, then you're not caught up in that panic of, oh, what do I put on LinkedIn today? So first of all, the step-by-step process that I'll share with you is to generate ideas and brainstorm. One of the rules of brainstorming is that you're not sitting there with your editor's hat on thinking, well, nobody would be interested in that. You do that brain dump to get that idea down in whatever form makes sense for you to collect your ideas. Keeping in mind, you need to be very clear about who you're writing for. You're writing for attorneys who you want to hire you. We're not talking about educating the public. And I make that statement because I've seen legal nurse consulting blogs who spend time writing on health topics, but they are written for a layperson, like how to avoid heat stroke in the summer. Something we all need to know. But the attorney is only interested in heat stroke if it's because the construction company sent people up to the roof and told them they had no breaks and no shade and no water, and they started keeling over from heat stroke. Then that becomes an occupational health issue. And you can talk about the implications of heat stroke, what are the signs and symptoms, how that is treated, and tie it into an occupational injury. There's a subtle difference between those two. That's why it's important to think about what does your audience want. We are also visual people. People love to see images, photos, infographics. Include those whenever you can when you're posting. And also think about what are the frustrations, the pain points, the problems that the attorney experiences. Those are the things that they're most interested in. Having to wade through large volumes of medical records, not understanding medical abbreviations, not knowing how to communicate with medical experts. When you keep those pain points or frustrations or concerns or problems in your planning and you're addressing your posts, you're showing the attorney, I get you. I know what you've got going on in your life, and I can help you. When you think in these terms, you can think also of what is your specialty. Barbara and I were chatting just before we got on about a woman in Oregon who hemorrhaged after having a C-section. She hemorrhaged in the postpartum unit. They were slow, according to the article I read this morning, slow in recognizing that she was hemorrhaging, slow in getting her to the OR to take out her uterus, and then they watched her die. The family is suing for $100 million. If you have anything to do with OB, GYN, neonatal care, you could take that article and build on it and post on that topic of postpartum hemorrhage. And even if you're not an OB nurse, it doesn't take long to get the knowledge, to do a little bit of research, to fill that in, to be able to write a post on that topic. That's what people are talking about. The term for this is newsjacking. You take a case or a topic that's hot in the news world, and then you expand on that. And then you schedule your posts when your audience is online, if you're specifically thinking of LinkedIn. The last thing that I'll share with you before I turn this back to Barbara is think about, there's a difference between selling and serving. There are legal nurse consultants in social media who are saying, hi, do you know what a legal nurse consultant is? I can help you. And there are legal nurse consultants on LinkedIn who are saying, do you know how to handle a case involving a woman who hemorrhages to death after a delivery? Let me share with you some of the key points that go into the care of that patient. And your blog post or your social media post is educational. You might have some entertaining posts, a mixture of those, or inspirational. and then some occasional promotional, but not what I see in LinkedIn with certain LNCs is hire me, hire me, hire me, hire me, without offering anything educational. That's not going to get you very far. Let me turn this back to Barbara, who will carry us through to the end.
Thank you. At this point, I want to talk to you about networking strategically, because as a legal nurse, when you're starting your practice, as you're building your practice, expanding it, networking can be golden to your practice because you are learning from others, you build those connections, you can get work from other legal nurses, attorneys, even physicians have hired me to assist them with some of their cases. And if we're talking about the networking, there are so many different ways of networking, but at this time, I'm going to address conferences, how to schedule and maximize your attendance at conferences, such as legal nurse conferences. If you are looking to establish yourself as the go-to expert in this field as a legal nurse consultant, or perhaps behind the scenes, and build your practice with fellow professionals, then this is the conference for you. Pat and I are hosting our 11th virtual LNC conference, and the dates are February 27, 28, and March 1. So it's a 3-day conference. You will also receive CEUs. You can apply for those. It is a 3-day virtual event. You will meet other legal nurse leaders, as well as attorneys, business owners, and many other backgrounds. The speakers are from all across the country, and there's something for everyone who is attending. The conference link is lnc.tips/February 2025 virtual. Topics include breaking into the legal market, navigating challenges between the LNC and the attorney. And believe me, there's always challenges within this field. And our last conference, Pat presented a variety of challenges, and the attendees absolutely loved the real life examples and the strategies for handling such conflict and challenges. There will be a presentation on when lives are ruined. There's also one that I'm doing called Never Snowed, Risks and Rewards of PCA Usage. And there are so many additional topics. You will learn from so many different experts in the field, as well as business owners and attorneys. And for attending this conference, you will receive a workbook, a very comprehensive workbook. And for attending today's session here, you are going to receive a special worksheet that Pat talked about on planning for 2025. So that's an example of one conference that you can attend and network. And during that conference, we actually promote networking. We have problem-solving activities. We have breakout sessions. We have times when you're always able to ask questions of the presenters, and then there will be panelists that will be sharing with you as well. There's also the AALNC conference, and this year it will be virtual. I believe it's in April, but our conference, as I mentioned, is February 27, 28, March 1, 2025, and the link is lnc.tips/February 2025 virtual. Other conferences that you can consider are attending attorney conferences. Ask your clients, what conferences do they attend? Perhaps they could put you in touch with a conference planner. There are times when attorneys in your area may get together for education luncheons, and you could be the featured speaker at that conference. find out what their group, what their background is, because certainly if you are looking to do a presentation on perhaps medical malpractice and cases that you've worked on, perhaps if you were to attend a luncheon with family law attorneys, they may not be as interested. So make sure you determine what your designated and target audience is. There are lunch and learns, I understand, for those that do end of life. There are attorneys that work on wills and estates, and I have actually participated on a few cases that there were questions of whether the individual was of sound mind when she changed her will. There were a few of those that I had. And that's something that we as legal nurses can look at. Was the individual under the care of physicians? Were they highly medicated? What about interacting with their physicians? Did they feel that they were of sound mind when they changed the will, perhaps a week before they passed away, and left their inheritance to their neighbor instead of their family, as an example? So those are a few ideas for you. You can also contact your local bar association and ask if you can present a topic to them. If your background and your interests are personal injury, you could design a case and educate on the medical issues involved and whether or not they were the result of the incident or not. For example, I had been asked to review a motor vehicle accident, and this accident occurred in a parking garage. The accident occurred at a very slow speed, and where the car behind another car did tap the car in front, and there was a little bit of bumper damage, really not much. It was a very slow speed, and the driver actually claimed that he sustained numerous spine injuries from the incident. I had been asked to review the medical records on behalf of the individual who struck that car, and learned a lot from reviewing those medical records. I learned that this individual was a laborer, and his vocation is that he laid tile floors. He did a lot of lifting in his role, and I believe he was 31 or 32 years old. Being an orthopedics nurse and knowing that those that are laborers, things can change with your spine over time, and repeat lifting and heavy lifting and twisting. And individuals don't always know that there are changes to their spine initially until perhaps there's an incident that warranted getting films. And this individual was not complaining of pain, but he decided that he should have a full workup and have x-rays performed because of this accident. Well, after a careful review of the medical records, I determined that the incident did not cause his spine issues. And the spine issues that he was claiming were disc issues. And these were not the result of that incident in the parking garage. So with my background and knowledge, I was able to present and lay out the case for the attorney that I was working with, and demonstrate and explain all of the orthopedic issues, pathophysiological issues, and certainly the fact of the strike onto the car and the little damage to the car. So that's an area that you as legal nurses can work on as well. I encourage you to develop a personal brand, for example, and figure out what that personal brand is. For me, I'm an orthopedics nurse expert and medical surgical nurse expert. I love to teach, and I love working on those types of cases. As I mentioned, I serve as an expert witness, And many of my colleagues know of my passion and my specialty, as well as the attorneys that I've worked with. I have worked on a variety of projects in my own specialty nursing associations and carried that over to the legal nursing field, as well as taking my legal nurse passion and carried it over into my clinical arena. As a result, my clients have referred me to their partners, their friends, and others to work with them. So all of this is about networking and building your business. I mentioned earlier to try to make new contacts by bringing in 5 new attorney clients in 6 months. But I also encourage you to make a goal of networking with at least 10 new contacts of legal nurses at each event over this upcoming year. So each event that you attend, you come to our LNC Success Conference in February, I want you to meet and get connected with at least 10 people that are attending. Networking is a great way for you to learn from others, for you to share about yourself. That's so important. And at these events, you'll learn about other areas, individuals whose passion is to do behind the scenes, or perhaps they love to write chronologies, or maybe they love to find experts. It's always important to take notes on those individuals because as you're developing your practice, maybe those are areas that you don't like to work on. Perhaps you don't like to do chronologies or look for experts. Well, being connected with these individuals, you are building your practice by then having people to refer work to or having them work with you. They can expand, help you expand your business. So lastly, I have 2 comments. I want you to visualize your success as we are coming across and about to start 2025 in just a few short weeks. Visualize your success. Envision where you want your business to be in the future. This practice can help rewire your brain towards achieving that self-image, even if you are faced with any setbacks. And really important, celebrate your achievements. Here we are, about to ring in the new year. Celebrate your achievements. Well, step 1, you attended today's event with Pat and I. So celebrate that. Acknowledge your success, no matter how big or how small. This helps build momentum, reinforces that your motivation to keep working towards your goals. And we truly want you to have a very happy and successful 2025. And we want you to join us at our conference in February and March. And also we have another power session that will be scheduled in January, and that will be January 7, and that will be at 12 noon. At this time, I know that some of you may have some questions for us, so we do have just a couple minutes because we want to certainly respect your time, and thank you for joining us today. If you have questions,
Barbara,
please.
for those great questions, those great points. Our program in January is going to focus on looking at your resume or CV and evaluate it in terms of some best practices for putting together your credentials. And then in February at our power session, we will focus on making presentations to attorneys. Barbara talked about volunteering to do a presentation for the Bar Association. We'll give you some tips on that topic of marketing yourself through a presentation. I'm seeing lots of compliments, Barbara. Glad that people are walking away with points. It's been a pleasure being with you today, and we appreciate you being here, being interested, showing up, and making this investment of your time in this topic as you think about how can I change my business and grow in 2025. We're here to support you and encourage you and to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's it for Legal Nurse Podcast. Thanks for being here. Be sure to get your ticket for our next online conference that's taking place February 27, 28, and March 1. You can get your ticket at the link in this video if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this, the link is lnc.tips/February 2025 virtual. Come on and join us. Get knowledge, get support, get encouragement, make new friends, all from the comfort of your home. We'll see you there.